Here. Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Andromedans, space travel has existed in our galaxy for 4.4 billion years. Okay, we are literally the new kids on the block. All right? Now, what's interesting about our galaxy is... All right. Space travel has existed for 4.4 billion years. The interesting thing about our galaxy is the fact that we have many different races living here. In particular, the human race, which we are a member of, and what we call the reptilian races, which we are not a part of, but who very much don't like us, like the human race. Apparently this battle that's been going on has been going on for approximately 3.8 billion years between reptilian races and human races. Many of the races that exist in our galaxy migrated originally from Lyra during a war. Apparently, sometime in our ancient past, a group of reptilians were exploring, looking for minerals, looking for food resources. They came across a star system that was full of human beings who were agricultural in their nature. Abundant food, they just had everything together. And the reptilian races, they're called the Seekar. In the Andromedan tongue, we know them, or we would know them as being known as the Draconans, because they're from Alpha Draconis. And apparently they, as a race, were brought to our galaxy fully formed. Nobody knows where they came from or who dumped them there. But they were put there because it gave them the highest probability of survival. Well, they're a remarkable race. They're incredible builders, but they have an attitude problem. And that is that they believe that they are the dominant species and they control everything else. And they are also master geneticists. They value genetics, not gold or silver. They have no interest in that. It's life forms. And they try to control life forms through manipulating their genetics. We have also been subject to that. I'm going to try to cover a lot here. Anyway, there was a war. They were attacked. Many of the human races fled to Antares, to the Pleiades, to Cygnus Alpha, to Andromeda, to Cassiopeia, to Sirius, to Procyon, all over. They just scattered to the winds, trying to survive. Next slide, please. This is where our small little area is located. That which we see in the sky, this is where it's located. As you can see, we are in the sticks, the boonies. We really are. And this is why we've been manipulated and messed with so much as a planet and as a race. Because we have been, for the most part, considered insignificant. And then roughly 5,000 years ago, somehow they found out that we were no longer insignificant, and I will tell you why. According to the Andromedans, in our physical form right now, in our genetics, we have within us the DNA of 22 different extraterrestrial races who have come down here and manipulated, who have bred with us, who have tinkered with us, everything imaginable. And that somehow we have all this inside of us. Plus the fact that we're coupled with spirit. And this is something that the Greys have a major problem with. And I will cover that as well. Now, because we are the only race in our galaxy that has these genetics of 22 different races, because we are also spirit, they consider us royalty. The Andromedans consider us as royalty. Now, one of the factors that they look at, and the thing that totally awes them the most, is the fact that many of the more advanced races use technology to create things. to manifest things. The Andromedans are heavily use holographics. Whatever they need, they create holographically. It is physically there, but when they're done with it, they turn off the switch and it's gone. It doesn't just sit there. All right? Like if you go home and your couch, you go away for a year, that couch sits right there. They are amazed at how much energy we put into creating things. Just things. Little tchotchkes that you put on the shelf, books. All those things take an intense amount of energy to create. They're amazed that we have this ability. The other thing that amazes them is they're also amazed at how easily we can allow our own kind to starve, to go homeless, and to kill each other. They do not understand that at all. Okay, and destroy our environment. One experience, I'll give you two experiences. One experience was with Visayas. I had just come up on board, and I was being led into a room, and Visayas had been watching a television transmission from Chicago. And policemen had just shot a black man that was running away. And then the policeman apparently ran over and tried to save his life. Okay? Visayas turns to me and he says, I don't understand your race. I don't understand why one would try to take his life and then the next minute try to save it. I didn't have an answer. In fact, many times I don't have an answer. Another time, I came on board. I was living in Lake Arrowhead at the time, and Mornay was looking at a group of meters on the ceiling of a ship, and it was all about the ozone and the air, oxygen content in our atmosphere. And he looked very distressed, and I said, "What's the matter?" And he said, "Don't they understand that all of this is here because they need it? They don't understand how we can just so carelessly destroy our environment." Now, folks, I want to share something with you. If there was not divine intervention, which apparently there has been, March 23rd of 1994, if there has not been divine intervention, and I will cover that, according to the Andromedans, we would only have 41 years left worth of oxygen in our environment. 3,500 years ago, the oxygen content, they say, was at 35, fluctuated between 35 and 38% between the North and South poles. Today, at its highest level, it's less than 18%. Now, those of you who took biology, what happens to the human form when oxygen as a gas goes below 15%? We die. We suffocate. This is reality, folks. This is reality. This is not Peter Jennings. Okay? This, I mean, we don't have anywhere else to go. And for those, and this is just what I've been told. And for those of you who think there's going to be a rapture, you might be disappointed. And I'm not saying this to question your belief. I'm just telling you that there are much bigger forces going on here. The question is if there's really a battle between good and evil. Are the benevolents more powerful? Do they have more? And do we really have a chance? Oh, gosh. I've been told that if they stuck together, yes, they could resolve the situation here. But there are some significant problems that they have. Now, back in 1985, when I was being told all of this, there were a lot of discussions going on back in Andromeda about what to do with us. Now, half of the Andromedan Council didn't want anything to do with us. And their reasons were this. These were their sole reasons for not wanting to help us. They don't respect their home, they don't respect each other, and they don't respect themselves. What is their value? Now, those that wanted to help, because they have seen us as totally being violated with our free will, somehow convinced them that this was a worthwhile project. Now, intervention not only changes our reality, it changes their reality. And one of the things that the Andromedans and Mornay has said specifically is they don't want to come down here and help us when we don't want to help ourselves. Because then they end up babysitting. And if something happens, then we could always blame them. And the cycle starts all over again. This is about self-responsibility. That's what this whole thing is about. There are one group of ETs who say, well, there's no way. You cannot be self-responsible. You cannot rule yourselves. And then we were given this opportunity 200 and some odd years ago to try this experiment. And we succeeded in doing it. But now we're being lulled back into a place where we want somebody to take care of us.
Yeah.
And you know that you're going to sacrifice your freedom. I'm not about to do that.
Neither.
So who's going to win? I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I had a place to hide till it was over, but I don't.
Their interference has caused a lot of this to surface. I mean, they've kind of, changed our direction as to what we might have been able to accomplish.
You're right. The question was, she added, that we've been manipulated and they've helped to change us into a different direction. You're absolutely right. However, when I brought that question up to Mornay, he looked at me and he said, are you aware that your government is drugging its young people? And I said, well, yes. He says, are you aware of a couple other things that he mentioned which are really sensitive? And I said, well, yes. He says, well, what has your race done about it? I mean, 1986, 1987, West 57th Street, twice in 6 months, showed Air Force personnel unloading bales of marijuana and cocaine off of planes at Hempstead Air Force Base and loading it up with weapons and then taking off for Costa Rica. Twice they showed this on national TV. What happened? West 57th Street was taken off the air and nobody did anything. Again, it comes back to self-responsibility. They are watching us. They are watching us and saying, should we come in and help this race when they don't want to clean up their own act? When they don't want to take care of their own? Do you realize, and big time, and those who don't want to make a shift are going to be checking out. Because the frequency, everything is changing, folks. And I'm not trying to instill fear in you. I'm trying to share with you what they've told me. And they have not been wrong. Things are going to radically change. And it's going to start just like this. And whatever you do, please don't turn on each other. The enemy is underground. They're on the moon. It is not your neighbor. It is not your policeman. He's not the enemy. So, we've been rescued on some level already. But I don't know how many of us are going to make it. Now, the world government has been told that we're overpopulated. Okay, by the aliens. The truth is, they can't control all of us.
Right.
They can't control us here. So they decide they want to just eliminate half the world's population. Now, folks, I want to share this with you. According to the Andromedans, our planet could comfortably handle a population of 11 billion if we didn't squander our natural resources and we went to free energy.
Right. Yes.
Now, the free energy has been suppressed forever.
Right.
If we went to that, we could turn this whole thing around.
Right.
All right? What's happened is the political systems have broken down, but they don't want to take responsibility for it because in order to fix it, they have to make us more free. And they're not about to do that. They are not about to relinquish control of you, your money, your assets, because you're a natural resource. So it's easier to create a catastrophe, like a pole shift or something else, biological weapons, and just wipe out half the population. And they're still in charge. And I can assure you that those people that you call your world leaders, those who are part of this game, will be sitting on the moon watching all this happen. And when it's done, they'll come back with answers, just like a politician, We got off.
Yeah, where does soul and spirit get into this?
Okay.
It's a possible solution.
Why are they so interested in us? Now, this is really going to stretch your belief systems. I am told that a majority of the physical beings, human beings, that are in third density, not only on our planet, but in 21 other systems, who are experiencing the same problem we are having, are beings that apparently at some time in our past were at 11th density. Now, the Andromedans have said that our universe, what we know as our universe, is in linear time, and this is the only way that I can explain it is as we count time, is that our universe is a 21 trillion year holograph. It's a holograph. It's a picture within a picture within a picture, or a dream within a dream within a dream, however you want to look at it. And that apparently many of the souls of third density were at 11th density. And for some reason, this collective group consciousness decided they wanted a different perspective. And they literally fell into the concept of time, into physicality, and literally carved out of nothing what we know as third density. Now, third density to many of these other races is like putting your hand in Jell-O and trying to move it back and forth. There's so much resistance, it's so dense. And yet here we are literally creating all this. That's how powerful we are. That's how powerful our minds are. Which is why there's been so much focus on brainwashing, on trying to make us victims, or believe that we're victims. Because the minute we wake up and we take a step back, detached, and see our situation for what it really is, they've lost control. It ends there the minute we awake. And this is why channeled information, so many different races and beings are trying to light the fire underneath us. Because they can't directly come in and interfere unless a percentage of us ask for permission. Because then it's a violation of free will. And they've done exactly what the regressives have done. Even though it was for our own good. You cannot violate free will. That's the law. So they are trying to help us awaken and at the same time try to make us think it's our idea. That's the trick. And it's working, I think, to a degree. But, how quickly it's working, I just don't know. I'm scared. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I am scared about what the next 4 years are going to bring.
What about the earthquakes?
A lot of it is. I'm sorry. The question is, what about the earthquakes? Some of them are natural, and some of them are being caused. I wish I had a board. But what's basically happening is you've got a planet that is vibrating at a frequency of fear and anger. You've got this new frequency called the 12th density, which is lifting everything up. Well, these really dense energies cannot move up. So the planet herself, in order for her to move up into 5th density, has got to cut loose with this energy. And what's happening is that she's cutting loose with this negativity, which she's been holding on to. It's hitting the surface, and it's feeding us as a population, because we're already in that space. There are predictions of wars. Oh, God, we're all primed. We're all ready for it. The whole world's broke. Everybody's looking for food. The world has got a food supply of 53 days. The entire world. The United States of America, should there be a catastrophe, has only a 7 days food supply. What happens after those 7 days? Are we going to start feeding off each other? That's our MO. Okay, can you define densities, frequencies? Density and dimension, they're really one and the same thing. They are a frequency in which light and sound oscillate at. We oscillate at a specific range. Other things oscillate at other ranges, higher ranges. There really isn't anything lower than us at this present time. We've hit bottom, there's only one place to go, and that's up. As the old saying is. So it's a frequency. It's light. It's sound. If this is a holograph, if what they're saying is right, that this is a 21 trillion year old holograph, then all of this is just light and sound. Now, there are places in space where there is nothing, no matter. According to the Andromedans, those are areas that have not been magnetized by thought. Now, with the first aspect of physicality, the first sign of creation, they say, is the electron. The moment that particle is magnetized by thought, it comes alive. And it starts to create and manifest whatever is energizing it or magnetizing it. The question was about reincarnation. If the earth is destroyed in the future, where will all these souls go to continue to reincarnate? That's a great question. I will share with you a couple things about that. Their theory, the Andromedan theory on that is this. They say that all physical matter that is in this 21 trillion year old holograph came out of what we know as black holes. So the Big Bang theory is correct in its simplicity. But apparently what happened was some other universes somewhere also went through the process of evolving, and those things that chose not to evolve, to raise their frequency for whatever reason, were taken into black holes, and because spirit cannot be destroyed, it has to create another space to continue to evolve. Now the Andromedans call that space consciousness. They call our universe consciousness, because that's what created it. They say this is happening all over again. And the London Sunday Times, this past Sunday, for those of you on January 1st, the London Sunday Times on the back, apparently the Hubble telescope has found a floating black hole that is moving through, it's right now in Virgo, it is floating, and it is pulling some suns, some stars into it, but not others. And they're gone. And they're actually watching this thing now. And that's the London Sunday Times, January 1st. For those of you who want to go to your newsstands and try to get it. It's on the back page of the front section. Big article. Okay? So, there's a God. And whatever she has decided to do is going to happen. Actually, I asked about that, and they said that, that they call it the isness. They themselves don't know exactly what it is, but just that it holds everything together. But that if they had to give it a gender, it would be female.
Thank you.
Because it creates life. More hasn't happened. There are some really, really evil thinking souls here on this planet. I mean, it's unconscionable. It's unconscionable. If those of you know anything about the UN Biodiversity Treaty, if you look at some of the wording that's in it, it doesn't sound like a human being wrote that at all.
No.
It's just too weird. There's just so much weird stuff. And that's because they were influenced.
I think the UN was set up by extraterrestrials.
That I don't know. I think that maybe in its original conception it was honest, but it's certainly been perverted. Certainly been perverted. I want to get somebody who has the next question. Yes, ma'am.
Can you comment on angels that are now king or angels? The article guide, everywhere you look at it. And also the term walk-ins.
Okay. The question was, can I comment on angels and can I comment on walk-ins? As far as angels, the Andromedans consider anybody who has spirit to be an angel. You make your choices. You walk on one side or you walk on the other, or you find the middle path. Most of us are on one side or the other, and we're desperately looking for the middle path. It's just spirit. They're just folks on the other side, beings on the other side who are trying to help and influence us to make decisions for ourselves. If any of these angels supposedly tell you that they have all the information and that you need to follow them, like i.e. Ramtha, you need to be you got to use more common sense and really trust your gut instincts. Because this is all about our evolution. If it's true that we've been on 11th density, then we have knowledge, we have experiences that none of these other races have. And we already know how to do this. And we already know. And we just have to somehow find out those keys. Every single one of you in this room has a piece of this puzzle. Every single one of you. And you gotta honor that piece that you have. And you've got to honor yourselves. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not awesome, because you are. You are so awesome. It's just beyond words. They want to consider you a natural resource. You will only be that if you believe it. It's that simple. This does not have to be a major struggle. Unless we just stick our heads in the sand and go into denial. I mean, how could you be in denial with all this stuff that's going on? I mean, it blows my mind. The regressives consider us a natural resource. They feed off of us. We make things for them. We produce for them. We create energy for them.
They harvest our thoughts. They're channels.
We can create things out of thin air, literally out of thin air, that they need technology to do. Everything in your life was made, was created, manufactured. Okay? Even the idea was created. Okay? Everything we've ever needed, this planet provided for us. How do you think it got that way? How do you think this planet knew exactly what to manifest, and we would end up here and be able to use exactly what we needed? I don't know if I'm wording that right. Number 1, scientific proof of dimensions and higher self-consciousness. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your consciousness, your thoughts, who you are, is not in your brain. The only reason that our bodies have the brain is so that our soul, our greater selves, whatever it is, can make the body move. Okay? Your essence is in your energy field. It's in your aura. That's who you are. That's your life force. That's where your consciousness is. It's not inside this bone right here. It's here. It's all around you. 2, reincarnation will be scientifically proven and demonstrated. 3, acknowledgement of other life in the galaxy and universe. Ample proof already exists on Moon, Mars, and on the Earth. 4, extraterrestrial contact from at least 9 different races. That's going to blow some minds. Introduction of free clean energy devices based on magnetic fields of energy. Of course, they'll be introduced. You notice the word there. They've already been built. That the earth is hollow and capable of sustaining life, and the existence of a city known as Kal-Ni-Gor, which is in the hollow earth, that was originally built by Lyrans. Lyrans were one of the original races of human beings. Number 7, rediscovery of the lost lands of Atlantis in the Atlantic and in the Pacific, a very large temple complex still intact that belonged to Lemuria, approximately 150 miles southwest of Easter Island. Well, that's going to blow some minds. Number 8, reality that all we see in the physical is a holographic imprint directed and created from a higher portion of ourselves. Apparently, in the next 18-19 years, we as a race are going to evolve over 150 years. It's going to be like that. Which is the way it should be. I mean, for every, I don't know if you're aware of this, but for every 2 years that passes, military technology advances 44 years. Do you have any idea the toys they have that you paid for? I mean, it's awesome stuff. And of course, they don't want to let us play in the sandbox. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Would you go back to the one that you said before you said we were about over 150 years in the next coming years?
In the next 18 years, we are supposed to evolve over 150 years.
And then there was a statement made before that. All that we see
in the physical is a holographic imprint directed and created from a higher portion of ourselves. Number 9. Human consciousness is not in the brain, but located in its entirety in the energy field and aura. This is the 1.5 to 5 ounces that the body loses at the moment of death. That's who you are. That's the only part of you that's really you. You just create this to play the game here. Okay. Number 10. How our past and present educational processes have not prepared us to be completely conscious, creative thinkers.
Lazarus, surely. Fools of rich.
Number 11. That organic and plant life forms do exist on 7 planets and 15 moons in our solar system. Yes, ma'am. Number 11. That organic and plant life forms do exist on 7 planets and 15 moons in our solar system. Now, just because we don't have the technology to pick it up doesn't mean it isn't there. Okay? Number 12. Rediscovery that each of us is a part of the whole of the universe, and we are a significant part of that idea that we call God. And that God is the idea called love. Number 13, that this accelerating self-discovery being experienced was created and activated by all of us. So, well, sir, that's the $64,000 question. You get the answer, will you call me and let me know? I guess when I look at history and I look at where we are today, there's a history of history repeating itself. And it's like a hamster that climbs on the wheel. No matter how fast he goes, as long as he stays on that wheel, he's not going anywhere. So maybe we just needed to make a change. Maybe we're all sick and tired of this. Maybe we need like a vacation. My understanding, sir, is that they are different. Your consciousness is completely different. And this is important. There is a physicality on all dimensions. Okay? Because there's a physicality. It's different from us. For example, fifth density, we live in a color spectrum of 72 colors or light frequencies. Fifth density is 214. That's a major shift. That's a major shift. Number 14, that we as a product of extraterrestrial genetic manipulations are possessors of a vast gene pool that has many different racial memory banks of at least 22 extraterrestrial races in our DNA. Many different racial memory banks. That means that when things get a little bit higher, our kids, you're going to start knowing things that you don't have any idea how you know. But you do know it. You will know languages that haven't been spoken on this planet for thousands and thousands of years. You will just know because it's inside of us. We're a library. Barbara Marciniak, her piece, they talk about this as well. And I think some of the other groups do. Because of our genetic heritage, we are considered royalty. We need to acknowledge it, acknowledge ourselves, and seize our genetic heritage. Now, I'm going to end on this. God. I once asked Visayas, okay, what was our future going to be? The future of us here on Earth. And this was his response. This is the Andromedan definition of our future, us as a race. Responsible freedom of self-determination. Becoming truly self-confident and free to unconditionally be responsible for oneself without being coerced to accept some higher authority. I'm going to read it one more time. Responsible freedom of self-determination. Folks, thank you for coming. Becoming truly self-confident and free to unconditionally be responsible for oneself without being coerced to accept some higher authority. Ladies and gentlemen, you're awesome. Don't let anybody tell you different. Go out there and kick ass. Thank you.